Thank you. Welcome everybody to our live Facebook live session today, Thursday, the 6th of March, when we're going to talk about the things that have come up in our Sovereign Dialogue sessions this week. If you follow us regularly, you'll know we run two Sovereign Dialogue sessions each week, following the same question. Sovereign Dialogue is a very simple process of freeing yourself from the kind of habitual thinking that we all approach life with, and having some time to let go of all of that and open up to another source of your own wisdom that comes from your sovereign embodiment, from embodying the sovereign within you, and then letting yourself write or express the thoughts that come through you from the prompts that David and I set, or from anything that's important in your own life to make it pertinent to what's going on in your world at the moment. And this week, our question is, what does your sovereign want to celebrate? And that was established really kind of, I went a little bit down the what's happening in America, dark hole abyss of horrified watching, and I thought, yeah, I need to balance this out a little bit. So it was as much for me as for anybody in the room to be able to reframe myself, lift my energy into some of the more positive and affirmative things that I do know are still sitting in my conscious, even as I sit there with a massive going on, um, as I watch events unfold in the US of A
Yes,
and other places in the world, indeed. There's a lot going on. So we just wanted to be real about the fact that some people are very affected by what's happening, some other people less so. Um, and and that to remind everyone that we still have a place within us that we can go, that where we have agency over how we're feeling and responding and reacting. And so we asked that sovereign that question, asked our sovereign self that question in order to give ourselves a bit more of an opening up maybe into that realm. And it was great. It was really, I found it really helpful. We got some great feedback from our the participants through the week. So yeah, David, how about what were some of your prime observations from what people fed back to us?
I was really struck by um I was really struck by this idea of celebration, that like we can all get into the habit, and I think that is it's a really common habit of getting sucked into the stress, the anxiety, the worry, the overwhelm of what's going on in the world. And that isn't to say that there aren't a lot of things that are going on in the world that are quite troubling, and that things in the world are going in a direction that I personally don't want them to go into, and that it's really easy to uh, take away from that this idea that it's all going to shit, right? And that there is nothing worth celebrating, and that there's only worry and discord and uh, destruction ahead of us. Um, but like the kind of the overwhelming message from Sovereign when I go into that space is one of, yeah, that is just part of the message. That's part of the story that's playing out in the world at the moment. And there's all of this other stuff that we can really be focusing on. And whilst that may not be that easy to see, particularly on the world stage, we can actually spend some time looking at our own lives and looking at the lives close of the people close to us, and find that there are all kinds of things that we can be celebrating, both small and large. And one of the participants was celebrating the fact that, you know, for over a year now, she's had this vision for uh, creating a space for 8,000 people to dance and be playful. And she has finally got to the place where she doesn't have any resistance, or there isn't any resistance in her about making that vision come to reality. And so what she's been doing is doing kind of like street dance, like impromptu, spontaneous street dance events for just 1 hour in the morning for people when they're commuting to and from work, to work. And she's just loving the experience of it. And that has led to some really, really interesting possibilities. It's involved media, it's involved, all kind. So because she's really aligned to that, something incredible is starting to happen in her life. Even though the vision itself hasn't manifested, she can feel in herself that there is that manifesting is on its way. And she was just lit up by it,
Mm,
totally lit up by it. And that was such a wonderful thing to witness. But it was also wonderful to hear her celebrate that. And those sorts of wins, some people might call them small wins, but for her, there was no doubt in her mind, however small it might be in kind of physical manifesting terms, to her, it was a massive, massive, massive win, and it made all the difference in the world to her. So
mm,
that's definitely one of the themes that I've seen emerging today.
mm.
Sorry, this week.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I agree. The joy of the video she shared of those small community regular dances, the
Mm.
lightness of it, and watching people join in as they're coming to and from their train journeys and
Yeah,
whatever's going on in their lives. And suddenly they come across this group of lovely people just dancing in the tunnel. And
yeah,
um, it is amazing. And that journey from first getting a vision and then absorbing and deciding to go with it in spite of all the voices going, yeah, but no, but at you, and take simple action towards it, and then seeing that progress and seeing it as a source of celebration because she's consistently taken action on it. She's consistently put herself in that place. And one thing I loved about what she shared is that not only that she's getting those wins in what she's promoting locally, but she's also, you know, going to other people's events where there are thousands of people. And because she's a part of that community, an active part of that community, she's been given the opportunity to lead light-hearted dance sessions to encourage people on these big calls. And so suddenly, without her realizing how, without her trying to work it out, she is working with thousands of people, not in the way she ever thought she would,
mm,
but it's there. And yeah, just watching the affirmative sense of her celebrating that what
mm,
was absolutely brilliant.
mm,
And it for me it reminded me of I can sometimes take it for granted that I now live vision based, that I live to visions. And I don't, sometimes I forget, and sometimes I get a bit mired in the realities of life, as they feel very in your face and up close and personal. But mostly I know that if I'm a bit stuck, I need to get my energy, my commitment back in my vision. And that changes everything because it's a lighter place to be. And to watch the impact of that for one participant, and to have her through this question be able to really identify that was, I totally agree, really special moment.
And that celebration thing is really important when you were talking about energy, because authentically celebrating, really ups your energy levels, doesn't it?
Mm,
And it really orients your attention and focus and mind to uh, um yeah, celebration and achieving those goals and possibility and creativity and generativity. Three or four of those ideas that seem to be really central to this idea of sovereign leadership.
mm,
The
mm,
possibility, creativity, and generativity of being in our sovereignty, you know, and being able to have the vision, but then also do the actions that help to make that vision a reality, and celebrating on every single step of the way, in again in an authentic way, not in a, someone told me to do it, so I'm going to do it, but really understanding the value of that, which
Mm,
feels much more authentic,
mm.
comes
Yeah.
from an authentic place.
Yeah, and with a body of evidence behind it to prove that it supports your mental well-being, your emotional well-being. It's not like this is sitting in isolation. That is being explored in the world, that choosing that is a valuable thing for your own well-being. Um, and I know it helps and supports me. And one of the things I got from my own writing this week, which I really loved, was it was like, well, what's an action to take? Because you can sit there having a beautiful dialogue with yourself. Sometimes you want the action that's going to promote you further in the way you want to be in the world. And for me, one of my actions was do some research on some of the wins, on some of the, what's happening that's good in the world. And it's reminded me of some of those, that there are publications out there that focus on good news. And it's made me think that I still, I do want to be aware of what's happening in our global political life. It's important to me to be aware and up to date, without it taking over.
Yeah.
And but one of the aspects that I've seen other commentators in the US do, and particularly more left-wing commentators doing, for example, is celebrating some of the workers who've lost their jobs,
Mm.
and or even some of the ones who haven't, and bigging them up and reminding people that these are just people who are doing their best to do a service to the public that pays their wage and their salary. And I think that's also, it reminds you to celebrate some of the those connections and the little things that are happening in communities, the people who stand out, who are doing the best they can, the people who are, you know, building community, who are serving their communities, who are bringing a lightness maybe to the, or entertaining their communities even, and
Totally, yeah.
to celebrate them as well.
Yeah, one of the people that I'm connected to on who's amazing in this space is a woman called Lauren Hugg. And she's written a book called Digital Kindness. But like all of her posts are so incredibly, they're real, they're authentic, and they address some often some quite challenging issues, but always there's this positivity to it. Always there's this celebration of something to do with humanity.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, she's a real big advocate for kindness in digital spaces.
mm.
Um, and then to do with your publications as well, positivenews.com.
Yeah.
That's a really, really great quarterly news magazine that you can sign up to. And then for those people that are like environmentally focused, a wonderful podcast called Outrage and Optimism, which is all about the environment and stuff. And again, they're quite big hitters in the environmental space, but there's always
Mm.
again, this sort of positive spin.
And
So
one of the projects that came to mind was I quite often get a Facebook ad to support, and I think I have supported them financially in the past, is a young lad who started um, recreating um, what's the word? The Great Barrier Reef, um,
coral reefs,
coral reefs,
right?
in different places. So they're
Okay.
planting reefs to help
Yes.
help sustainability.
Yep.
And that was one of the ideas that came to me. It's like those people who are passionately continuing to do what they're doing, whatever's going on. Yeah. And like like you just pointed out, I get the week every week, and it's great. It's really useful little snapshots of politics, UK, Europe, America, global. But it always has on the second page, it wasn't all bad, a little section on it wasn't all bad with a couple of just lighter um, pieces in it. And I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, it helps.
Yeah. yeah, yeah. Yeah, there are lots of really great things going on in the world. And even so, again, another one of the themes that came up in our in the session that I ran today was again even things that seem to be quite negative, or that we often frame in a negative way. So the theme of pain came
Mm,
up, and we weren't being particularly specific about what kind of pain, but even like emotional pain or physical pain, or heartache, all of these things, they are, yes, they're uncomfortable, and yes, they can be very challenging, but they are speaking to, like, it's nature's way of saying, pay attention. There's something here to be addressed, even if it is to give yourself the space to grieve, or to give yourself the space to rest, so that you're not in pain anymore, or that you can learn to manage your pain. So there are all of these kind of cross messaging that we often get, where society is often telling us that something like pain is a bad thing, or failure is a bad thing, but that actually learning to be able to celebrate that, well, pain is actually can have a positive or can have positive aspects to it. Failure can
mm,
have uh, aspects to it that we can celebrate, and those things are important as
yeah.
well. So that was something that we spoke about at length today. Mm.
Yeah. And it takes me to the I can't remember where this comes from. Is it Rumi or alchemical? That saying of pain is inherent and suffering is optional.
Yes.
So pain is an inherent human condition. It's part of our human experience to experience pain.
Mm,
It's part of the deal. So as with joy, so with pain.
mm,
It's part of what our life we will experience through our
mm,
human lives. But it's the meaning that we put on that that makes it suffering, and that's the choice that we have. You
yeah.
can always just be with your pain and really be real with it, be in it, explore it, let it be what it is.
Mm,
And you can make it into different stories, or what it means about you in the world, or your position in life, or how other people are going to respond or be with you, or should respond or be with you. And at that point, it tips over into a different aspect, which is suffering.
yeah.
And that you have some say over. Pain,
Yes.
you can't do anything about pain. It's going to come.
Yeah.
You can't stop pain, but you can be with pain.
Yeah.
Suffering,
Mm,
you can get over. Suffering, you can adjust
mm,
and change
mm,
to make something more kind of inherent
mm.
in you. And I've known friends, and I've done this myself when I was grieving, to really change my journey through grief.
Yeah.
And when I felt myself going down any drama route, or kind of victim state of grief, to pull it back and go, hold on, I just want to be with the pain of the
Mm,
loss that
mm,
I'm experiencing now, without extrapolating it into new different areas.
mm.
And I think so that's beautifully highlighted in the group today, that I wasn't at, sadly, but it was sounds amazing for people to get that insight.
Yeah.
And
And if
it
you want a
makes
master's class in that, there's a wonderful program for our British viewers on BBC iPlayer called Mission Joy. You can There is a website to it, and you can get it in any part of the world, but I know it to be on the BBC iPlayer, and it's the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu talking
oh
about
yes,
life. Um,
yes,
and of course they talk really honestly and openly about the pain that they've experienced throughout their lives, because
yeah.
both of them are very um, have lived a lot of life, of course, in different ways. But I've never seen two grown men laugh and touch each other and hold each other and have so much love between them than I see in this documentary. I've seen it like 5 or 6 times now.
Mm.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a boy crush going on there, I think, with the two of
Well,
them.
and why not?
And why? Absolutely,
What
absolutely.
two absolute legends to have a
exactly.
crush on.
Yeah, exactly. But
That's
it's that real choice about, they're really choosing about not choosing not to suffer, and to be able to be with their pain
yeah.
in a way that
And
transmutes
if you
that
can do
into.
that when you've had their lives, then oh my crikey,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, that's and it's really interesting because I think for me, I've had my experiences with pain, so I have had chances to practice this, and I know there are people in the world who have that mega, mega, mega so many times over and so deeply and all encompassingly. And so I don't want to denigrate or put down their experience in what I'm about to say. But for me, it's the best I can equate it with as a really way of experiencing this is that relationship with cold water swimming where so many people go, oh, but isn't it cold? And it's like, well, yeah, of course it's cold. It's December. It's the UK. I'm swimming in the sea in December. Of course it's cold. It can't not be cold.
Mm,
But it doesn't matter that it's cold
yeah.
because I've developed a relationship with it where, yeah, it's cold, but that doesn't matter. It's just a sensation. It's a thing that's happening to my body. I've got good at not having a judgment about that thing that's happening to my body. And I think that's the skill that you can learn about not taking it into this means something.
Mm,
And if you can learn that with pain, you're just particularly those extremes of pain that some people like that have been through, then wow, you're
mm,
super, super duper person.
mm,
Yeah, it's very powerful, very powerful. And
mm.
isn't it great that that depth of insight that people are getting from a simple process
Yeah.
that's coming from themselves, that's not being given to them, that's just coming out from within their own awareness, consciousness, wisdom, life experience.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
it's really powerful.
mm. So
Really.
what other themes did you?
Um, well, I think that one of the ones that I really liked is like we've touched on it a little bit is the benefits of a practice of celebration.
Mm,
Um, and that when we were talking about this earlier, I kind of connected with how difficult it is for us to celebrate ourselves generally in our own lives, that we are not encouraged to do that over our lives, that kids that do celebrate themselves are generally called show-offs and are shut down very quickly.
yep.
Um, and obviously we can sometimes over we can become show-offs. I know I can do that. And we can over celebrate ourselves. But to develop a really good, honest practice of celebrating yourself, of what you've created. And that again, having a vision gives you a structure to do that because each step towards that vision is something to be celebrated. Like
Mm,
you are taking affirmative, positive, deliberate action to get somewhere, to fulfill a goal.
yep.
And that even if that action kind of you take it and it doesn't actually deliver anything instantly, or the if results of it are not visible, to still be able to go, hell yeah, I took that action. I had my ego screaming at me, yeah, don't do that. You need to do it this way. You should do this instead. But no, I went with that wisdom that I got and I took that step and now I'm like, yeah, I did that. Or,
Mm,
I'm a pretty cool person. It's like, your expression. You're good.
you're good.
There's nothing to fix,
Nope.
you know?
Mm,
Be that ability to celebrate ourselves, I think, is an important practice to develop. And not to inflate, not to be overinflated in our self-celebration, but just to be able to go, yeah, I'm cool. It would take so much of the unhelpful messaging away if we could remind ourselves regularly that we're pretty cool people. that we're doing all right, that we're really, yeah, you're all right. You're doing okay. You're good.
Yeah, and that message that I convey, that you're good, feels so important, because I think there is a lot of messaging, isn't there, about, putting that into question. And
Mm.
so people come out of childhood into adulthood with all kinds of distorted perceptions and views of themselves. And for me to have this mission, if you like, of trying to remind people that they're good,
Mm.
that there isn't anything lacking in them. And that, again, this question about celebration is kind of part of what can really help with that. It's this reminder of, well, where have you where have you done well today? Where have you really shined your light in the world today, even if it was just by smiling at your partner or at your children, or holding the
Yeah.
door open for somebody, or whatever it is. These the kind of little sparks of, you are a good, kind, generous person. And that shows itself in a myriad of small and large ways.
Mm. Yeah. And not just good, kind, generous, successful, full of energy, with great ideas, with everything you need to progress in your life. It's all there.
Mm.
And oh yeah, there was a thought that just pinged off there. It's disappeared again. Um, yes, I think for me, so often now, particularly as a coach, in the conversations I'm having with clients, when they offer a something to the discussion that starts with, oh, this probably nothing, or this probably been covered better by someone else. I come down on it like a ton of bricks these days. I'm just like, oh, could we try that?
Compassionately,
Could we
a
try that
compassionate ton
again?
of bricks.
Yeah, passionate ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Yes. Not an impatient ton of bricks. No, 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 no.
No, no.
Passionate ton of bricks. Um, and it's so interesting because no, we don't hear that ourselves saying those things. That's our self-talk, and we don't even hear ourselves saying it. So, and it is big part of the coach's job to reflect back what we're seeing and to remind our clients who they truly are under that morass of culture and habits. And when people actually hear it, and then when they change the format of their sentencing or their embodiment when they express it again, it's like a different experience, and you can see it's a different experience for them as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
And that's a great part, isn't it, of the sovereign leadership journey, that bringing something that was not conscious, or into the light and into consciousness, so that you become aware of how you're speaking, and how those words are mirroring belief systems about
mm,
yourself that can be changed, because they
yeah,
don't necessarily work for you. Mm.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Alison's written in the chat here, appreciation for all the good stuff. So important.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Appreciate the good stuff.
yeah,
It's too easy to drown
yeah,
in the rest.
totally.
It's not difficult at all.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, absolutely appreciate the good stuff and appreciate that we are good stuff. Well,
Yes, I am. I am good stuff.
I am good shit.
Yeah. So it feels like another theme that might be a nice way to wrap it up,
Yeah.
because I'm conscious of time, is the theme that popped up in our conversation again around surrender.
Oh yeah.
This idea of, uh, like, letting go of what no longer serves us, not giving up, but letting go in a way that gives space for new possibility, new creativity, new generativity.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
we had
wrote
a
it in my
really,
notes. You expressed it earlier as the active choice of letting go.
yeah, well, that was the way one of the participants talked about it today, and it was again a very tender moment in the conversation where, someone was really talking intimately about, this kind of ego death, and how challenging that was, and at the same time how liberating it was, and how much space it gave this person to step into new areas of their lives.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's it. That's it. Oh, if we could teach this at schools,
Yes.
to have people just be able to turn down the volume on that voice of habit, that voice of the ego, that voice of should, could, would, can't, shouldn't, don't deserve, whatever it is, different versions for different people in myriads of ways, and create that space,
Mm,
because it's that space where creativity opens up, where that's the space for me that Sovereign speaks
mm,
into. And
yeah.
when I use the embodiment technique of feeling my feet on the floor, my bum on the seat, relaxing through my core, taking a breath, suddenly I'm in this moment where there's nothing else
Mm,
except this moment, because I'm connected to me, I'm connected to this moment, and the voices have gone quiet.
mm,
And
yeah.
then I can get some good, decent, different information coming through, rather than the same old channels that have directed my whole life's path. And it's so simple, exactly that. It's so beautiful to hear them describe it as that, creating that bit of space where something else can come in. And then the job is to grab that something else and run with it and go with that, rather than any of the other stuff that then instantly comes crowding back in
Yeah.
to backfill.
Mm, totally.
Mm,
Love it. Love it.
yeah.
Good.
Surrender. It's
Surrender.
it's a good skill. It's a tricky one.
Mm,
It can be a tricky one.
mm. So, any final points, any last things that you want to share before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I just the things that I have to celebrate in my life. It's so valuable to connect with them. Um, there was somebody put this great post by a bloke up on Facebook recently, about menopause and about being with a partner who's going through menopause, and what a man's job is and what a man's job isn't, when they find their partner kind of against the open fridge going, I am gonna fucking kill somebody in a minute, you know, what their job is and what their job isn't at that point, and how powerful it is to be in a relationship with a woman and to be part of her transitioning into a very new powerful age beyond menopause. And as I was reading it, I thought that's what my husband so often did for me. Not always. He didn't always get it right. I didn't always get it right. That doesn't matter, but mostly he was so there for me during menopause,
Yeah.
and understanding and getting that this was a powerful force that was happening through me. It wasn't me doing anything. It was just, this was a part of my growth and development.
Mm,
And to be able to then post that on with appreciation and celebration of my amazing husband
mm,
felt great. Just it made me remember again just how lucky I am to have met him, and then to have been able to come to a place where we got together and got married.
mm.
Um, so yeah, that's what I get to share as my last observation.
Nice one. Really, really cool.
How about you?
I sense that to be in a world where people are choosing to see the good is a really powerful and important choice. That isn't to say that we don't see the things that are going, what we might call saying is in the wrong direction, but but like at every single step of the way, there's always an opportunity to celebrate something and to be able to take the benefit of it. And I'm really reminded of a moment that happened to me in 2001, after 9/11, and I was on a martial arts spiritual training weekend, and we spent, so 9/11 happened on the Tuesday, we were there on the Friday night, and my martial arts teacher spent the entire weekend, but he introduced this concept of, what are the things to celebrate here? What are the benefits that we can find? And we spent the
Wow.
entire weekend creating 9/11 as an incredible opportunity for the future of humanity. And almost none of it happened, but we created that event as something incredibly powerful and incredibly
Mm,
positive, even
mm,
though so many people died. So again, not looking away from the pain, but not turning the pain into suffering, but turning
mm,
it into it as a force of good. So really celebrating my teacher for that,
mm.
but as a kind of a master's class in how to celebrate and how to bring people together as a way of trying to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That must have been amazing to do.
Yeah, so what is it, 24 years ago? So I was
Mm.
probably a little too young to appreciate how incredible it was, but I look back on it now and I'm like, wow. And
Wow.
Alison's written, I feel inspired, encouraged, and supported right here, right now. Thank you both. So
Thank you, Alison.
glad you
That's
were
great.
glad you were here to be
So
with us.
pleased.
Yeah. So we will call it a session there, and we'll see you all next week on the next session. Thanks, Thea.
Great. Thanks so much.